106.2 FM.
Good evening, it's the Tech Factor live on Salaam Radio 106.2 FM. I'm Akquil, and as always, I'm joined by Joel, the only person I know who reads release notes like bedtime stories.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. Virgin history is important, right?
Yes.
Oh, it's good to be back. You can get involved in the show by calling us on 01733 602 133, or you can text the show on 07411 191 062. Love to hear from you. Of course, we're streaming on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Please share your comments. I'm looking forward to reading some of those. But it's great to be back. Virgin history, Joel, is not a personality trait, is it? But here we are. Right, Google I/O 2026. Google basically walked on stage and said, everything is AI now, and it's not just talking, it's doing.
Yeah, I mean that summarizes it like extremely well. Yeah, I mean, it's in everything.
It's in everything, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so what is I/O 2026, and what was it really about? Look, the big theme. Agentic Gemini, not a chatbot in an app, but Gemini as an operating layer across Google products, Search, Android, Workspace, and the new hardware direction. The keynote messaging leaned heavily into agents and task completion rather than just answers. So I guess it was less tell me and more do it.
Yeah, it was. And I'll tell you what, it's quite interesting because it was sort of like, why bother downloading an app? Just make it.
Yeah.
Why bother typing a document? Just tell us what to do. Yeah. Why bother sending an email? Just tell us to read it to you, and then just tell us to reply. Yeah. It was all. Everything's going to be done for you. Very much so.
Exactly, and that change is huge because it alters what we expect from technology. Do get involved with the show. You can call us on 01733 602 133 or text the show on 07411 062. Did you watch it? Let us know. Comment on the live stream. Love to hear from you. So Gemini really has. I know over the shows that we've done over the last year or so, Joel, we've watched, the last 18 months probably, where we've seen AI just lift off. And, initially it was all about ChatGPT and OpenAI. But in the background, Google has been working on this for decades, right? And it was just like when the moment was right, when the foundations were in the right place, with all the devices they've already got access to and the operating systems they've are in people's pockets, it was only a matter of time before the giant that is Google woke up. And I have to say, sat with you here on 22nd of May, 2026, what we've seen happen is, it's almost like... there
was a mic drop moment.
There was, wasn't it?
It was just like, this is it.
This is it.
This is your future, and it is now. And loads of the stuff they talked about wasn't like a pipe dream that's coming, in 2030. It was like, oh, you can do this now. Now. Yeah, you can do this now. This is happening now.
This was not Apple intelligence.
Yeah, it wasn't promises.
It wasn't promises.
It was just like, this is happening right now.
I'll tell you what went through my mind. So when I was watching it, and I was just thinking to myself, you know how we sometimes watch tech movies and things like that, and they'll like and Sundar Pichai, I'm not saying this about you, by the way, I'm just putting this out there, you'll have like a huge tech boss of something, and he's working on this secret mission, and all of a sudden he presses his button, all these agents just wake up and they're ready to take over the world. I'm watching this I/O and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, Google has just woken up, and they've hit the button, and everybody's pocket, everybody's tablet, Chromebook, whatever it is, other manufactured devices have all of a sudden just become super smart.
And you are talking about literally billions worldwide.
Correct.
Yeah, and it was pretty decent before, but now they've just completely. I mean, we're going to get into some of it in more detail, but they've just completely opened the door.
They have, and I have to say I really enjoyed it. It's been a long time coming where we've had a situation where Google is sharing information and new technologies where you've just gone, wow.
They were on, I believe, a few years ago, they were on the back foot. Yeah. So when ChatGPT came out, I believe that Google was like, oh wow, that we're nowhere near this. Yeah. They were still very much reliant on traditional search methods and things like that. But their transformation from then to now, in terms of what Gemini is capable of, has been astronomically fast. I mean, we see that tech moves fast.
Yes.
But this has gone crazy fast. Now, I've got a really, really interesting stat for you,
Go on.
just to start us off. So, in May 2024, they were dealing with 9.7 trillion tokens per month for AI stuff. Okay. Now, if anyone doesn't know what a token is out there, it's kind of like the currency that AI chatbots use to communicate from your device, from your profile, back to the data center. And depending on what you're doing with that AI agent depends on how many tokens it uses for that particular chat. So people just doing small stuff, you only uses a small amount of tokens. Image generation uses more, video generation uses a lot more. Now we've got music generation and things like that. So the cost of all of this agentic AI and building their AI Gemini product into like their full suite of things that they do, including YouTube and stuff like that. May 2024, it was using, they were processing 9.7 trillion tokens per month. Okay, 2024. In 2026, May 2026, they are now processing 3.2 quadrillion per month. Now,
wow.
I had to look at what a
That is a stat.
I had to look at what a quadrillion was.
Yep.
And it is 4,000 trillions.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That is a phenomenal... And it's only going to get higher.
Correct.
Yeah? Because now it's in everything. 4,000 trillion tokens per month. So you're talking...
I want somebody in the comments tonight to just write that down as a number. Could you write down 4,000 trillion? Wherever you may be. So if you're driving your car, please pull over, text the show, and just... show us what 4,000 trillion looks like in numbers. That is staggering, Joel.
How many noughts
What a
are there?
stat. Joel, back in the building. Yes, I like that. Brilliant. So, Google showcases Gemini direction, didn't it? It was faster, more action-orientated models. The point isn't just raw intelligence, it's speed, reliability, and the ability to work through multi-setup tasks. Multi-step tasks, sorry. Right? And I have to say, we already know because we follow this and we're like, okay, this is good, it's intelligent. We're used to seeing things like this. But it was the multimodal creation becoming mainstream that really got me. It was essentially, like you said earlier on, we're moving into, and this is what blew my mind, we are moving into create from anything, text to image, text to video, edit video by describing the change, summarize audio, generate layouts. This is the shift from tools you operate to tools you instruct.
Yeah, I mean, let's think about where Google came from. So Google came from, basic search that would give you a list of links to websites that, have something vaguely to do with your search that you put in. And after 25 years, we are actually seeing now probably the death of that standard search box in terms of the fact that Gemini is now sort of, one of the sort of first things that you'll now see at the top of your Google search. And it's rapidly replacing that with, they've been bringing out slowly, obviously, circle to search and all this kind of stuff as well. So the Google that we knew over the last 25 years is definitely changing quite significantly their identity and who they are. I think that, death of the standard search box, we witnessed it.
We did for sure. And I think, the stakes are really high, aren't they, for search? When Google changes search, it changes the internet economy.
It does. Yeah.
Right? So traditional search is links, you browse, you decide. AI search, the answer is compiled and presented to you with fewer clicks needed. So that's great for convenience, Joel. But it creates tension for publishers and creators because if fewer people click, the web's incentive model changes. So the question becomes, how does the open web survive if the biggest gateway starts summarizing everything at the top?
Well, it's very true. So one of the my key takeaways from Google I/O was, as we just said, why bother learning to code? Just use Gemini anti-gravity. Why bother downloading someone else's app? Just use Gemini to make one. Yeah. Why bother getting an illustrator or a composer or a videographer? You just get Gemini to do it. Yeah. So in terms of sort of how that affects economies globally, not just internet economies but larger scale economies and things, it'd be really, really interesting and very, very sort of nervous about the future and how that's actually going to end up looking. The other thing as well that I've seen sort of people sort of, I like watching sort of both sides of the argument, so I watch some backlash videos as well and stuff. And one point that I thought was quite good that was made in that is this information that it's feeding us, how do we know that it's not sponsored?
Correct.
Yeah, how do we know that the recommendations that we're getting, product recommendations, more intelligent, Gemini is now in Google Maps and things like that. So again, is there an agenda there where they're pushing a bit like, you're at number one on pay, traditional Google search would see people with the highest pay-per-click ad campaigns, would come as sponsored links at the top, and then ultra optimized SEO sites would also be on page one. But now, basically, page one of Google search is Gemini.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not sure quite how that economy, that means that everyone else who goes on to page two that is trying to grow organically and appear in search still in the traditional sense.
Yep.
So where does that leave people like you've just said that used to be on the top of page one? How do they now get into Google? And I don't think that's been explained as well as it could be.
I think one of the reasons for that is because this is all happening in real time, Joel. And if you are a enterprise client for Google, you're probably already having those conversations at the moment, talking about your content and your websites. I think in many ways we're also saying that websites are going to become sources rather than destinations.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Which is interesting in itself. We'll see how that unravels. I think at the moment, if I was a business owner, I'd be very nervous. Because, like you said, if you're an app developer, you can do all of these things, but losing your positions on Google, if something that you really rely on, that's going to affect people's business model without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
The other thing that they really spoke a lot about was Android, its ecosystem. AI baked in much, much deeper, right, Joel? So Google's I.O. tone suggested AI is no longer a feature, it's a platform layer. So expect deeper integration into messaging, notifications, productivity, voice, photos, and day-to-day actions inside Android. So I guess this is Google moving from phone operating system to life operating system.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen massive shifts with that already. I'm really excited about the new Android Auto stuff as well that they've got, coming out at some point. I mentioned on the last show that, I'd noticed that my Google Assistant in Android Auto had already moved to Gemini. So I've been playing about with that, and that's been really good. So, for example, out and about, I was last week doing some work stuff. And there was a big sign on the motorway on the M11, and it said, avoid London on Saturday. And I thought, okay, but why? Blink, hey, Gemini, why should I avoid, London city centre on Saturday? I've seen the sign on the motorway. And we had a conversation about it, and it was to do with protest and this, that, and the other. And I wouldn't have, I would have had to have waited till I got to my destination before doing that traditionally, and I would have probably forgotten about it, and I probably would never have followed it up. But having that immediate ability to have that conversation, as well as so the other things I was trying with Gemini and Android Auto as well, is again it was just like, hey, look at my route and tell me where there's any like service stations, or Starbucks and things like this, and then it would give you a list of things, a list of destinations, and you'd just be able to say, okay, add that as a stop, and it would add it as a stop. Now, Google Assistant could do that to a certain point, but again, it fell short. The conversation with it was way more natural, and I think we'll see that across all the apps. So the keynote speech that we saw, the Google I/O, they talked about, one example they had was sort of teaching someone to ride a bike, a 3-year-old to ride a bike, and having Gemini in YouTube again, speaking to Gemini, typing out questions for Gemini. And again, we saw that again with building apps, with Gemini Omni, where we was multimodal, bringing together different media to create, a video or a music score or a particular image and stuff. So, yeah, and it's going to be doing that throughout your entire phone and ecosystem. So it's going to be really cool.
It is going to be really cool. I'm really excited about that. Do let me know what your expectations of Google are. Is this something that interests you? Are you worried about AI? Is this something you're already invested in? Or are you on the other side of the fence? Perhaps you're a Apple user or a different manufacturer, software developer, and watching with envy or otherwise. Let us know. Call us on 01733 602 133 or text the show on 07411 191062 or comment on the live stream. There was also wearables. If we look at that direction, the whole industry is trying to move AI from your pocket to your face and wrist, so you can get help in the moment without pulling your phone out 50 times a day. So smart glasses are back, as we know, but except all this tech is now got a brain. So the question is whether society is ready to have always-on vibes again.
Yes, if you listen to our last week's show, we go and do a bit of a deep dive into the privacy concerns of such wearable tech. I was quite surprised that Google had that kind of wearable tech that they showed on this particular event.
Yep.
It didn't strike me as something that necessarily they were going to do, or certainly not talk about in their I/O sort of keynote speech. Obviously, we talked about the XR glasses. Without going into it too much, I would say definitely listen to last week's show, available on YouTube, where we do deep dive into the privacy concerns. Following on from sort of smart tech and wearable tech, it's also broken since we did that show that the Meta Ray-Ban glasses are now doing first-person video reviews by real people,
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So investigation reveals that Meta relies on human contractors to review first-person video captured by its AI-enabled smart glasses. This is to train and refine further AI models, and I believe this takes place with moderators in Kenya. And they are reviewing the raw footage from users who opt in to the AI data sharing. So again, it's kind of like buried in these T's and C's.
Yeah.
This will include highly sensitive content, especially if you are looking at bank details or private home spaces, or
wow, that's scary, isn't it?
Wearing them into the changing rooms or bathrooms or anything along those kind of lines. Now, Meta are claiming that the footage is pre-filtered, faces are blurred, before any kind of human review. But again, it kind of gives off like weird privacy vibes again, where it's just like, actually, this isn't specifically stipulated in the terms and conditions. It's kind of like hidden in jargon. So because I'd read that, when I saw the XR glasses at I/O revealed, I was just like, oh no, here we go again. Where's that?
Where's the line?
What's happening? With that like under the covers kind of thing. So
it kind of, in many ways, puts you off.
It does,
because you don't want to be a person who was a contributor to that, and then more than that, I guess you don't want to be someone who's. We can't stop other people walking past us and they've got their glasses on and they're recording. I mean, that's just 2026 now. People are walking around with vlogging cameras and mobile phones, and there's a camera always on. Someone's watching you all the time. But I guess with what you've just described there, in sensitive, intimate, confidential spaces where you, I don't know, like you just said, so you've gone to your bank and you're having a conversation with your bank manager, and all of a sudden this whole thing is being recorded and you're being told that you're going to be blurred, but you may not be.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Cambridge Analytica situation all those years ago? So we've seen situations where powerful organizations are mining data and we don't actually know for sure what they're doing.
We know. I mean, and this is the thing, all of this does, especially with going back to sort of the agentic AI, that we're talking about. And again, agentic meaning, an AI agent, something that's performing tasks for you.
Yep.
And I think that at the moment, because the technology is going so quickly, I'm not necessarily sure that we have got the correct kind of like countermeasures in place for how far that kind of things can
The horse is
go.
bolted, Joel.
Yeah, it's very strange.
And it was always going to happen when this technology came out. So do you recall when OpenAI first released ChatGPT? The very first week, it was on all the news networks. It was all over social media. Everybody was downloading it. It was the most popular app by like a country mile. And then people started using it and just giving it all types of information. Then like a week or two later, like, oh, you need to be careful what you're putting into this, right? But that's 2 weeks of work, like the world's data that's already gone into it. And then people realize, hold on a second, this is working for me, and they've carried on. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you is that at that moment, there were no guardrails.
Yeah.
No country in the world was able to keep up with what OpenAI released. And it's taken them years to have conversations about, oh, we need to have this law, blah, blah, etc. And all of a sudden, all these other companies are saying, oh, yeah, we need to have these guidelines in place. But the data that's already in there is in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
This wasn't guardrailed by a business or a pro account. It was all in there. So because that's already happened, and now we've got laws in place saying you can't do this, you can't do that, they're still not strong enough. So all the time, whether it's DeepSeek or Claude or ChatGPT, Copilot, does not matter. All of these LLMs are mining your data, period. Whether that's Meta doing it through glasses or your watch or whatever it may be. It's like you said, when you are setting up a new device, more often than not, you have an option that says to you, share your data with developers. People who are just want to use the device straight away, they're clicking away without realizing in the millions this will be around the world. We're human beings at the end of the day, aren't we, Joel? We don't always read everything, do we? And then we've just given consent. And then someone in Kenya is now reading your bank details or watching you eat at home or whatever it may be, and then they are doing something with that data for Meta.
Yeah, to improve their AI models and things like that.
It's very concerning.
I think that you're right, because I think that although Google announced that some of their higher tiers of Gemini Ultra and stuff like that were coming down in price, it is still very affordable, and there is still a very powerful free version. And if something is cheap or free in tech, you are the product. Mm-hmm. And I think that they have the ability to profile billions of people like they've never ever had before.
I agree.
Yeah. So again, even going back into the 1970s and 60s with credit cards and store cards and things like that, they could track your spending habits of you and your family, and then, because maybe a female in your family buys a certain product, the next day they get through the post, they get a book of vouchers for nappies and stuff like that, because they know that woman is probably pregnant and all this kind of stuff, And then sort of, roll forward a few more years, and then again you've got like the boom of social media. Yeah. So again, they're sort of tracking you. People are blogging, they're putting their lives online. Social media comes along, they're then starting like tagging themselves in places, they're uploading pictures and things like that. And again, that's adding to the data that Facebook and Meta at Google, they know who your wife is, where you work, who is in your family. So then you say, oh, well, I mentioned that product, and now my wife is seeing an advert for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but she hasn't searched for it, I haven't searched for it, but someone in your family has searched for it. Now you see the adverts and all this kind of stuff. So this kind of so then they start harvesting and profiling you on that data. I'm getting to my point. But now LLMs come into it, and then all of a sudden we're telling them our deepest, darkest secrets. We want advice. We're using them as counselors. We're using them as physical coaches. We're using them for everyday problems that we're experiencing. And all of a sudden that data is so detailed and across billions of people. They've never had profiling data on us like they have got now with all of this, talking to Gemini, talking to ChatGPT, typing stuff in, what kind of images are we creating, what kind of workflows are we putting together with them. It's like before, using our social media, you thought they were in our head, but now with this kind of technology, the profiling must be absolutely insane. The big data of it must be absolutely insane.
Absolutely, I agree with you. What you're essentially saying then, Joel, is that AI has now become the tech life layer within everybody's lives.
Yeah, and
it's within the stack. It's within the stack. Yeah. So whether you've got, it doesn't matter what's on your wrist, on your fingers, around your neck, on your devices, whatever it may be, it's become now a layer that's going to be very difficult to shake. Now, look, I know people who don't use AI at all. But what they don't realize is that the devices they're using is also it's mining information. They just haven't tapped into it consciously themselves, not realizing as soon as they do, they're going to be shocked with what you've just said, because that device is going to come back and say, yeah, I already know you.
Oh, of course they do. Yeah.
I know you.
I mean, if you're on social media, or, Instagram, Facebook, it doesn't matter what social media you're using. Yeah, you are profiled. You have a profile. You have a digital footprint.
100%. I think what you've just described there as well made me think of like a Hollywood movie, like I was saying before, where you'll have a big tech boss of some description, and exactly, and they've got all this data, all this information. You can't help but feel something. Is this, like you said, we'd think, oh, is this real? It is real.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
I know it's all like tinfoil hat stuff, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the data they're mining on us now is like never before.
Never before. So my takeaway from Google I/O 2026 is Google wants Gemini to become the layer between you and the digital world. The thing that it plans, searches, drafts, organizes, and increasingly acts. And that's a perfect segue into the adverts, Joel. And we will be back after this short break.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
Need a taxi that won't break the bank? Amar Cabs offers safe local rides at affordable prices, starting at £3.99. Get to Heathrow for £120 and London Stansted or London Luton for just £88. Private school and executive business class drop-offs are also available. Booking is easy. Go to www.amarcabs.com and download our app on Android or iOS, or call 01733 555 888. Wherever you're headed, Amar Cabs is just a tap away with reliable, affordable rides starting at just £3.99.
Whether you're eating in or ordering for collection or delivery, Big Mouth at 349 Lincoln Road in Peterborough is the place for all the family favourites you know and love. But now it's even better, as loaded fries, grilled and smashed burgers, peri-peri strips and wings have been added to Big Mouth's mouth-watering menu of pizzas, chicken and so much more. Call in today, order for delivery via Uber Eats or call 01733 201020. Big Mouth's open 11 till 2, 7 days a week.
What do children at Bright Bambini Montessori Nursery say about us?
I love my teachers and friends.
At Bright Bambini Montessori, we sprinkle confidence, independence, and stir the love of learning. From 18 months to 5 years, free funded places available.
Come join in the fun.
Call Bright Bambini Montessori on Peterborough 306565 or visit bbmc.uk.
At Cake Inn, all our cakes and slices are freshly baked for that delicious taste. At Cake Inn, we bake 100% vegetarian and halal eggless fresh cream cakes. Delicious flavoured cakes for birthdays and weddings, ceremonies and all other occasions, with free customised messages, even balloons and candles too. Order for delivery or collection from Cake Inn, 489 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PE, and your cake could be ready within 2 hours. Find out more and order online at cakeinn.co.uk or call 01733 496 584.
Already running a business but want to scale, boost profits, and free up more time for the things you love? The Progressive Business Network is where business owners, mentors, investors, and keynote speakers share real-world strategies for growth. Each month you'll gain practical advice, fresh ideas, and powerful connections to help you work smarter, not harder. Grow your profits, grow your network, grow your freedom. Join the Progressive Business Network. Visit progressivebusinessnetwork.co.uk today. Progressive Business Network. Learn, connect, scale.
Peterborough's community radio station, Salaam Radio, 106.2 FM.
Welcome back to the Tech Factor live on Salaam Radio 106.2 FM. If you are listening to me and Joel dissect Google I/O 2026, if you missed the first half of the show, you can always watch back. Go to our Salaam Radio YouTube channel, search for the Tech Factor. You also find all of our previous shows, so do catch up with that. You can, of course, comment on the live streams. We're streaming on Facebook, X, and YouTube, Twitch as well. As well as that, I'm sure Joel would like to take a call from you, so you can call us on 01703 602 133, or you can text us on 07411 191 062. Now, Joel, Google I/O 2026.
Yeah, so being a bit of a security guy, as you know, the one thing that I really liked was the fact that they have sort of tried to approach the problem with deepfakes and AI content and how to tell the difference between what is AI and what isn't AI. Mm-hmm. And what they've come up with, which was announced in Google I/O, was like a dual layer security approach. Yeah, and this is going to be available, indirectly in search. So in Google Chrome, this is going to be something that the Google Chrome will be able to determine whether something is AI and isn't AI. So let's get into like the techie stuff of it. The cryptographic C2PA, and they're combining that with the DeepMind Synth ID digital watermarking. So what does that mean? That means that the C2PA acts like an attached digital ledger detailing file histories and its AI origins and things like that. So that's what they're kind of doing at the moment. And that sits in the actual metadata of the file.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what metadata is, the metadata is basically the information like what it was taken on, what lens was used, what phone was used, where it was taken, time and date, and all this kind of stuff. Okay. So the C2PA gets sort of embedded in that metadata. They've also had like things like the sort of Gemini watermark in the bottom right-hand corner, and et cetera, et cetera. But up to now, whenever you send something via WhatsApp or post it to the internet, quite a lot of the big tech companies are like stripping out all that metadata to prevent privacy problems and knowing where that photograph was taken and all this kind of stuff. So it's for privacy reasons, but it also strips out the fact that it's potentially generated by AI. So what they're doing is with the Synth ID, it is embedding, you can't see it with the eye, but it's embedding a mathematical adjustment directly into the pixel level frequency of the actual image. Mm-hmm. This is how I understand it anyway. And what that means is it is really resilient against cropping, color filtering, heavy loss transformations and things like that. So what that means is, for the future, if you think that something is deep fake, even though the metadata might have been stripped from that, there's still a digital fingerprint in that video, in the music, in the image.
Authenticating it
and saying this is AI. And that fingerprint can be, found by, AI scanners and things like that. And I think it is a major shift from sort of back-end creation safeguards to a proactive front-end detection tool directly within the consumer ecosystem, because it is going to be something that Chrome browser is based on. I think they also said that there was a few other large AI sort of content creating websites that are also sort of going to get on board with this and start to apply this digital fingerprint more and more.
Yep.
But again, as you said before the break, are they trying to close the stable door after the horse has bolted? Because again, there's already a flood of deep fakes and things.
This is true, but they have to do something, Joel.
They have to do something.
And
you're right.
The next stage in what's happening is, yes, we're living in a very fast-paced world. Yes, there's lots of deep fakes out there. But I'll tell you the next big industry, and it's what you've just said, is the authentication industry. So
yes.
You will have a look at content, and the first thing you'd say, is this AI or not? But then you'll have C2PA out there, and other, soon there'll be other ways of confirming data, but that will be huge. So then when you're watching TV, or if you're receiving an image, or if you're interacting with any type of media, you will know if that's been generated by AI or if it's actually been shot through a camera, etc., etc., etc.
You're right. There is a digital trust crisis.
Yes.
Yeah, which is quite a nice term of putting it. It's a digital trust crisis. is this real? Is this not real? Quite a gruesome one recently. A lady got attacked by a mountain lion. Did you see that one? Where she was very badly mauled by a mountain lion.
Okay.
And, you know, she did go to take a selfie of it, but then someone had done an AI video off the back of that, of the actual lion attacking her and stuff. But,
oh my God.
So what that was doing was sort of mixing together a real life tragic story, and then someone was then using AI, you know, in a sort of like a sort of nefarious way to fill in a blank of the story kind of thing. Yeah. And, you know, it does create a digital trust crisis out there. And I think that this is a really good step towards, you know, being able to handle, you know, real and AI media on the fly, you know, and to try and determine what's real and what isn't.
Yeah, and we'll see this develop, won't we, over the months ahead, no doubt. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to our next topic of the evening, which is AI agents. There's a Hannah Fry video titled "Why AI Agents Are Either the Best or Worst Thing We've Ever Built." And the whole point is agents can do insanely useful work and also do insanely stupid things if you give them autonomy and tool. The video's cautionary vibe is basically you give it access and it went rogue in funny but terrifying ways. So it's like giving your phone a personality and your bank card.
Yeah, it was really interesting that, you know, she released that video, and then Google I/O happened sort of around about the same sort of time, and they're sort of saying like, oh, we're going to use agents for everything, and she used AI agent in a few different ways with sort of mixed reactions. The difference is though, she's not like a super $1 trillion corporation that has, you know, loads of, you know, almost unlimited resources at her disposal. So she used an open framework called OpenClaw, which is something I haven't played around with personally, so I don't know too much about it. But essentially what that allowed her team to do was create their own AI agent, and essentially what it was doing, it was using API calls back to Gemini or ChatGPT in some cases, and it had a personality, and what Hannah was trying to do was get this agent to do a bunch of things for her. And a couple of interesting things was, one thing was like they tried to get her to buy paper clips at the cheapest possible rate, but it did so much searching and used so many tokens, it cost over £100 in API calls.
That was staggering, to be fair.
To save 50 pence on a box of paper clips.
Yeah.
The other key sort of thing to take away from that as well was the fact that they were talking with this AI agent in their chat group, and then they all left the chat group, and they left their AI agent alone with someone that the AI agent didn't know. It was still Hannah, but the agent didn't know that. And they actually managed to get from the agent, despite telling it in code, to never ever to reveal any secrets. They actually then got it to reveal their private API keys and also username and password information and stuff as well.
And if you're wondering what an AI agent is, it's essentially a chatbot answers a question. An AI agent takes a goal, completes its actions to reach it. So instead of, you know, tell me the best laptop, it can research, compare, shortlist, draft a recommendation, and even place an order if allowed. And this is what Joel is referring to. Given the right parameters, it will do almost anything. But the scary part is it will do more than you actually want it to do, and it's proven in that video. So, you know, how do they work? So most agent works in a loop. So you have goal, plan, tools, execute, check, retry, and finish. So goal, you tell it what you want. Plan, it breaks the goal into steps. Tools, it uses browser, email, docs, calendar, etc. Execute, does one step. Check, did it work? Retry or adjust, if not, tries again. Then you got the last step, which is finish. Stops when complete or blocked. And that loop is why agents are so powerful. They can keep working through a task chain instead of stopping after one answer. And that is what blew my mind when I watched that video. I've watched agents working before. I've seen people setting them all up. Because she got them and her team to try and do a very basic thing, it blew my mind. And then she gave the example of Was it Meta? I think it was. I think it was Meta.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So you've got the person who's head of AI technologies or something. You'll have to remind me, Joel. And this person asked the AI to manage this AI email or something like that. And within minutes, it started deleting, and I think it was scheduled to delete 200,000 emails, and that person had to manually intervene to stop it.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, there are bugs in any system, okay? And from a cybersecurity point of view, what we're seeing now is a new emerging field where attackers are actually trying to do agentic AI injection, basically.
Yes.
And like Hannah realised, that agent had the keys to her kingdom.
Yes.
Yeah. And because you needed to give it access to everything for it to complete the task that you'd assigned it, it does make it vulnerable. Yeah, because it at the moment, in a traditional data workflow, you'd essentially have your data in different silos. So from a cybersecurity point of view, you would be able to either stop that attack by literally physically unplugging something or shutting something down. You'd be able to stop the spread of the ransomware, or you'd be able to detect if the hackers on your systems. But they might only be able to access a certain amount of resources. But if you've got then an agentic AI agent working for you that has visual of all of those data silos and is pulling all of that data to a central point and then doing something with it. So that might be CMS, it might be customer data, it might be Salesforce, it might be other systems that you've got. It could be Sage if you've got your accounting. So at the moment, because they're all sort of relatively segregated systems, if someone sort of hacks into your Sage or hacks into another database, they perhaps only have access to that data. But when you bring an agentic AI into that, like Hannah did to try and start her business, to try and order things, all of a sudden you've given that the key to the kingdom. All your data silos all of a sudden have one sort of collective point. And that's why we're definitely seeing in the cybersecurity industry a massive uptake of agentic injection attacks.
It's because it's so easy, isn't it? And it's accessible. Let's look at the pros and cons then. So if you look at the pros of agents, you have time compression. Instead of you doing 20 little tasks, you delegate the whole workflow, like Joe said. Then you have language becomes automation. You don't need to know the software. You just describe the outcome. Then you have parallel work. You can run multiple agents, one research, one writing, one fact checking, one formatting. And then number 4, they can run while you're doing other things. This is the big one, isn't it? The agent continues working, then returns with the result. It's essentially life admin autopilot. Okay, so that's the pros, Joel. And then the cons, number 1 is tool risk. If it can email, it might email the wrong person. If it can browse, it might land on a dodgy page or be tricked. Number 2 is money risk. It can spend. If it can spend wrong, it will be socially engineered. And number 3, you got security risk. As you mentioned, agents touch sensitive systems, inbox, files, passwords, payment methods. That expands your attack surface massively, like Joel just described. And number 4 is the goal drift. If your instruction is vague, it might solve in a way you didn't intend. So it's essentially confident and occasionally incorrect. And like half the internet, but now you can just do the whole thing with the click of a button. I think we're in this stage at the moment, Joel, where yes, we're in the early stages and we're learning. There's going to be a massive fallout in the short term. Lots of people are going to be incorrectly contacted. There's going to be data leaks, breaches. There's going to be so much things that are going to happen because it's such an early stage. Then I think it will start to plateau. But we're in that phase now where everyone's chucking information at it. And all of a sudden, like that email you saw in that video, so well written, it's actually saying, I'm an AI agent sent to a journalist saying, if you don't help me, they're going to disable me. This is AI talking, and so I think, I'd love to know your thoughts on this, Joel. I mean, in terms of like rules for safe agents, which are simple and non-negotiable, I think should be like confirmations for high-risk actions, send, delete, buy, permission scopes, only what it needs, spending limits, activity logs for an audit trail, and sandbox testing before real access. I think the bottom line here is it just needs to, right now, it lets lighten it up. so that you're not putting too much information to at the beginning. You need to test. If you go in heavy and you've exposed yourself like Hannah's Kingdom, well, you could end up with no money in your bank account.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that really drives home the message of, like, you know, you're either going to be doing it yourself like Hannah was, or you're going to be entrusting that to someone like, you know, to Google and Gemini.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're hoping that they've gone through that process
Correct.
of sandboxing, of cordoning off particular data silos and all this kind of stuff, you know, and you're just going to chat to it, and you're just going to get a video from YouTube or whatever it might be, you know, and you're going to hope that they've got safeguards in that when you say, oh, book me a hotel or book me a ticket or whatever, if it's got access to your bank account, it's not going to book like a 5-star hotel that's £20,000 and completely max you out kind of thing. So again, you're hoping that it's got checks and balances in place, as opposed to Hannah's that she put together herself with her team that perhaps didn't have those in place. So again, it's a good comparison for today's show to see, like, okay, this is what a multi-million-pound business is doing with it, and this is kind of like what you can home cook yourself.
Which is dangerous. All right, thanks for that, Joel. Let's move on. I think we've done all the heavy stuff tonight, haven't we? Let's go into some cool tech stories. That's, you know, it's made you pause, look up, and say, okay, there's either a genius or we're doomed. So I think I'm going to go with. Actually, you go first.
I'll go first. Okay, I've got some breaches, some breach news, some hack news to talk about. So there's been a couple of big developments in cybersecurity world. One of them is to do with Microsoft and BitLocker. There's been a BitLocker 0 day, which has been discovered, dubbed Yellow Key. I'm not sure why particularly. But yeah, so this one's called Yellow Key, and basically this is a flaw. This was leaked by an anonymous researcher going by the name of Nightmare Eclipse. And Yellow Key allows an attacker with a physical access to bypass BitLocker encryption entirely. So if you don't know what BitLocker is an encryption that is put onto an actual hard drive. So the idea of it is, because your hard drive is encrypted, it needs a really long alphanumeric key to sort of, you know, become decrypted. And if you lost your laptop, or if for some reason, you know, you left it in a taxi or whatever it was, the idea of BitLocker is people wouldn't be able to see that data on your drive. Well, basically, this Nightmare Eclipse person has found a way around it. So it seems relatively straightforward. So how it works. So basically, he's placing a malicious file onto a USB drive. Obviously, there's no details of what that malicious file is, something that Nightmare Eclipse would have created himself. Put it on a CD drive, put that into the machine. When the machine reboots, Windows recovery environment, and holding down the control key, an attacker can trigger an unrestricted command shell and then view all the protective drives with the encryption completely bypassed. So it's a pretty big one, so I thought I'd talk about it.
Wow!
So they found this and then intentionally leaked it alongside other 0 days like Blue Hammer and Undefend. And apparently it's a public protest against how Microsoft's Security Response Center handles bug bounty rewards and disclosures. I haven't got any details of Blue Hammer or Undefend, but I would encourage our listeners to go and have a look to see what those are as well. And patch your systems.
So I'm so glad you said that. I think something that I've come across for many, many years now, and I know you're the same, you work in this industry, but the sheer amount of people that I know who don't update apps, who don't update operating systems, who don't update software, it's literally, yeah, my phone's not working, or I didn't get that feature, or have nothing. They will have absolutely no interest of there's a button you can press that says updates or software update, and not understanding the importance of that. It's not just features, it is more than anything security.
Yeah, from a corporate point of view, I mean, this goes really deep because, you know, there's lots of corporations out there that are reliant on BitLocker, you know, for the encryption of their devices, you know, which are you know, especially laptops and things which are designed to be portable and are perfect for opportunistic thieves, or being left on trains or in taxis or or whatever it might be. So yeah, this is a really big one, and I thought it was worth mentioning that BitLocker has had a 0 day, and essentially, just to summarize it again, the BitLocker 0 day allows, there is a way to bypass the encryption completely and see the data on the protected drives.
What's your advice in this scenario now? If somebody's listening to you right now,
Patch your systems.
just patch your system.
Patch your system. If so, I've got CVE number. So the CVE number for this is CVE 2026 45585. And if you go to the Microsoft, if you search up that CVE number, go to the Microsoft website, there's bound to be a knowledge base article on it, and it will tell you what update you need. But if you see that your Windows has got a little, I need to be updated or I need to be rebooted after an update, is probably because they've pushed the BitLocker update to your system.
Ah, okay, interesting. All right. Mine is AI in education, tutor versus shortcut. Education is getting hit from both sides. AI as a tutor is incredible. It can explain things 10 different ways. Personalized learning and help people who struggle with traditional teaching. But AI is a shortcut, is a problem. If students are using AI to avoid thinking, you get a generation that can produce answers without understanding. So, the future of education is likely AI-assisted learning done intentionally, more emphasis on reasoning, projects, oral exams, and real understanding, and a shift in what we consider assessment. So the homework is more about what you're thinking.
Yeah, they have to change something.
They have to change. So that's my story. There's this big thing happening now where at the beginning it was like, oh, we're not going to use AI because obviously it's cheating. Remember? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Oh, it's cheating. Now it's more accepted. Because it's a tool that's going to help this generation and future generations. But in the future, it's going to be about thinking. It's going to be about, and we were speaking about this before as well, about the importance of critical thinking yourself, thinking for yourself, not being told what to do, not thinking about, oh, I'll just change the question in the search engine.
Yeah.
It's beyond that.
It is beyond that. Yeah, I mean, for a long time people have said, oh, as tech gets smarter, people get dumber, and interestingly, one of the pushback videos from Google I/O that I watched, it mentioned education, and they mentioned education in Google I/O, and the fact that teachers are going to be using AI, and then students are going to be using AI to answer the teachers. So the teachers are using it to come up with classwork, and then the students are using it to get the answers to it and stuff like that. So yeah, there has to be, something has to change. I haven't got the answers to it, obviously. I think it's a real web of interest. But yeah, I mean, they have to show their critical thinking skills differently somehow.
Without a shadow of a doubt, I totally agree with you. But I mean, for now, I'm just glad I'm not one of the people involved in trying to write a policy for that. Because it's going to be difficult. Okay, my next one is space, Starship, and the rapid iteration era. So space is back in a big way, and a lot of it comes down to one idea: rapid iteration. Instead of one perfect rocket every few years, it's build, test, fail, learn, repeat. Starship is the most extreme example. It's ambitious, expensive, and it's pushing the boundaries of what reusable heavy lift could mean. What I love about it is it's visible engineering. You can literally watch progress happening in public. What's sobering is it also shows how hard the real world is. Rockets don't care about your roadmap. So it's basically agile, but with explosions.
Okay, that sounds really interesting. Is it an actual spacecraft?
Yeah.
Because speaking of spacecraft, I did watch the SpaceX come back to Earth again just recently in the last week or so, and it just blew my mind.
Whenever I see that, I just think to myself, how are they doing this?
I don't know.
How is this not a movie?
It's literal witchcraft, isn't it?
It really, really is. Honestly, it's very impressive. And just so you know, it's going to be the largest IPO in history.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's coming. Maybe we'll do that on one of our shows, Joel.
Yeah.
Give me one more. We've got a couple of minutes. A minute, sorry.
Okay. More cybersecurity news. GitHub this time has had a big data breach. This is via some malicious VS code. So GitHub has officially confirmed that the threat actors exfiltrated roughly 3,800 internal repositories after compromising an employee's device. So it sounds like it, and again I'm speculating here, Could be through some sort of social engineering attack, maybe in the first attack vectors if they're targeting a specific employee's device. So the breach originated from a poisoned extension on the Microsoft Visual Studio's code marketplace, which the employee unwittingly installed. So yeah, that could have been from a phish or a
I guess from
call.
your perspective, someone who works in that industry, this is like cybersecurity 101, isn't it? And we've discussed this previously as well in the industries we used to work in previously, which is as long as there's a human element to a digital situation, there will be an error.
Yes, absolutely.
There will always be an error. That's not the fault of the human, per se, but it is a vulnerability.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Joel, I cannot believe we have come to the end of the show already. It has flown by. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've missed any part of the show, you can obviously go onto our YouTube channel and find the Tech Factor and catch up with all of our banter and previous shows that we've had. Like and subscribe, just as Joel just said. That's Tech Factor for tonight. I'm Akquil. That's been Joel. Still updating something as we speak, probably.